It's my shrimp fettuccine casserole, perfect for Lent this time of year if you want to stay in instead of doing a fish fry and do this at home. This is one of those casseroles that's totally and completely company worthy. I know some people say, casserole company worthy? Oh, this one so is. I mean, shrimp and fettuccine and all sorts of great stuff. It's one of the recipes in my new cookbook. You know me, I love casseroles, so I'm always trying to come up with different fun casserole recipes where you can make this, make a nice salad, dessert, call it a day. And you can certainly make this ahead of time. That's one of the reasons I love casseroles is you can throw this together the morning or the day before and then bake it off right before company gets here. Great for a date night too, kind of a date night on the couch to do on the weekend. So I melted about 4 tablespoons of butter, and I've got some peeled, deveined, frozen shrimp. Just pick this up at Festival. That's the other reason I love casseroles is if you want to get fancy and elegant and do some seafood, you don't need to do a whole ton of it. It won't break the bank. So you can just do a pound and a half of shrimp. I buy it in the 2-pound bags, frozen bags, and then I just take it out when I need it, what I need, thaw it in the fridge during the day when I'm at work or under cool running water if I need it in a hurry. And, you know, we're going to stretch this by doing some pasta. So it's a great way to do, you know, serve seafood and be fancy, but do it on a budget. This casserole is pretty cheap to make, like most of my recipes. All right, I'm going to drop some fettuccine. This is just dry fettuccine pasta, about $1 or something a box, El Cheapo, into some boiling water. Real important not to overcook the pasta, because remember we're going to bake it again in the oven. So we really want it a little firm. We don't want it to get real mushy. Now I want to season up my shrimp with some garlic salt, my favorite. Grew up with garlic salt, and it's just a great way to get that garlic flavor in there without having to hassle with, you know, doing fresh garlic. I'll do a little bit of black pepper. And these shrimp I don't want to overcook. I want to do this pretty quickly because, again, they're also going to cook in my casserole in the oven. So just when they just start to turn pink, then they're done. So just once quick on each side, and then we're done. I've got a busy weekend, and if you don't have anything going on, I'd love to see you. There's a really neat thing that I was at last year in Fond du Lac. It's the Fond du Lac Ag Showcase. It's at the fairgrounds, and I'm doing a cooking demo out there, 10 o'clock Saturday morning. Cooking up some fun spring recipes and doing a cookbook signing afterwards. It was packed last year. It was just so much fun. I always feel the love when I go to Fond du Lac. So come see me 10 in the morning. So get there early, maybe around 9:30 to get a seat. And then there's fun stuff going on at the Ag Showcase all day long. They've got all sorts of great booths. And then on Sunday, 1 o'clock, I'm in New Holstein at the Home and Garden Show doing a spring cooking demo there. So come out and see me at one of those 2 places. It's that time of year. There's not a lot going on. No football. So, which has been, you know, sometimes it's nice to have a free weekend, but got to get out of the house and do something. So come on out and see me this weekend. Okay, I'm going to check on my pasta. Now my shrimp is done. I want to remove it from the heat. And now I'm going to work on the sauce. This is a really quick, easy sauce recipe. And you know me, I love my cream of mushroom soup. It's a great way to just bind a casserole together and give it nice flavor. But I'm going to do some things to it to jazz it up so it will not taste at all like you're using canned soup. If you're not a big fan of cream of mushroom soup, you could use cream of shrimp soup. You could also use cream of celery soup in this recipe. Some people just don't do the mushrooms. Thinking of Pete Petoniak, not a big mushroom fan, so could switch it up for Pete. Okay, I'm going to do some Dijon mustard, which really goes nicely with the shrimp. About a tablespoon or so of that. Some sour cream. It's going to keep this casserole really nice and creamy, and Anne's excited about that. Thank you. One thing I forgot to do, which I want to do, is do some fresh lemon juice over that shrimp. I love doing, whenever I'm doing shrimp, to do some sort of, or seafood, lemon right over it. That's going to create some nice drippings in the bottom of the pan. We've got that great flavor from the shrimp and the butter. Now I'll pull that off the heat. Dry white wine, about 1/2 cup of that. Don't need to use the fancy stuff. This is just Chardonnay. And if you don't want to buy the big bottles, we do a lot of cooking with wine on the show, and I love cooking with wine. One of the reasons I do is because it adds great flavor. And, you know, Julia Child and French chefs and, you know, chefs of all sorts have been cooking for wine for years. And that's because it does bring up the flavor of so many different recipes. Alcohol will cook away, and you're just left with some really great flavor. So if you don't want to cook with wine, and I understand some people just don't, you can use non-alcoholic wine. You can also, a good substitute is chicken stock, which also in some recipes, doesn't work for all of them, but in this recipe, chicken stock would work just fine. Or vegetable stock if you wanted to keep it vegetarian. And now I've got some milk. Now you're saying to me, and I hear this a lot, is, boy, this seems like a lot of liquid. And I talk about this in both of my cookbooks. One of the differences you'll see in my casseroles is they do, before you bake them, have quite a bit of liquid, especially if the casserole has potatoes, pasta, or rice in it. In this case, we've got pasta going on. A reason I do that is because when you bake a casserole, and it's got one of those starches in it that I mentioned, what happens in the oven is the starch, in this case the pasta, just soaks up that sauce. And we've all had that casserole in our life that's been okay, but could have been better. It's dry as an Arizona desert, as I say. And I'm not a big fan of that. I like a rich, creamy casserole. So my recipes start out, in fact, I'm going to do a little more milk, with a pretty nice creamy base. And that way, after they've baked, when you take them out of the oven, they're perfect and nice and creamy and wonderful. All right, let's check on our pasta. Looking great. Again, I don't want to overcook it. In fact, I want to undercook it. I'll let that sit for a second. I've got a pretty casserole dish, a 9 by 13, that I want to spray really well with cooking spray. Now I'm going to take that pasta. This was just one box. Dump it on the bottom of the casserole dish. All right. Now I'm going to take the shrimp and all those great drippings and the butter and the lemon and garlic salt and all that yumminess. I know. Get every little last bit of it out of here. Anne's drooling over here, if you could see her, in her ball gown. Yes, it's quite a thing to picture. Okay. Anne says that's disturbing. No, it's not. You look fantastic. Okay, now we're going to take the soup mixture with the sour cream and the wine, the Dijon mustard, and that just gets drizzled over the top. You don't want to mix it in. And now at this point, if you're doing this ahead of time, you want to stop right here, cover it with plastic wrap or foil, and get it into the refrigerator. I talk about make ahead. This would be morning of or day before. I wouldn't do it too far ahead because we've got seafood going on here. So, but certainly if I'm having people over for a dinner party, or just even relatives over or friends over, I want to get as much done ahead of time. So I do that checklist. So the salad is one of those things, if I do a nice salad, can't really do that too far ahead of time. I can make the dressing. Dessert, one of my trifles, which would be perfect with this, I can certainly make that the morning of or the day before. This I can get done. But before baking, this is when you want to basically sprinkle the top with some breadcrumbs. These are just seasoned Italian breadcrumbs. Going to give it a nice little crunchy on top. And some Parmesan cheese, which I love. And then into the oven this goes. I like to cover it with foil. That's going to keep that shrimp nice and moist. And it bakes at 350 for about 20-25 minutes. Uncover, and then let the top get nice and golden. One of the things that you don't want to do is, again, keep an eye on it. It's shrimp. We don't want to over bake it. You still want it to be nice and creamy. And keep this in mind too. If you are making this ahead of time and it is parked in your refrigerator, the bake time is going to be longer because it's ice cold out of the fridge. So keep that in mind. It's going to take a little longer to bake. Okay, so Here we go. Are you ready, Ann? Are you excited?
I'm thrilled.
It's my baked fettuccine casserole. You uncover it, like I say, the last few minutes, and this is a winner. Elegant but easy, a great way to serve seafood on a budget. Serve it with a salad and a really nice dessert, some garlic bread, and you have a home run. Total rock star status. Recipes on the website. You can also pick it up at any area Festival Foods, and it's also one of the recipes in my latest cookbook.